Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today I'm going to be talking about the story and gameplay of Revelations. I did a Q&A video just like this a couple of days ago and it got a really positive response, and so I had to bring it back. Here's question 1. Michael Waller says, will we find out more about how and why the weasel knows Nicolae? Simple answer, we damn well better do. At this point, if they don't touch on that subject, then I'm gonna just backflip out the window. I'm done, I'm finished, it's over, because they have been teasing the Mob of the Dead blood vials for so long now. It's literally been 3 years since Origins, when we first started getting the Origins teasers, and in the Origins teasers, we saw the blood vials for the first time. We also, obviously, in Mob of the Dead, had the quote that Michael is referring to here about Weasel saying, Nicolae, 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 why do I keep hearing that name? So there's a definite connection there, similar to how in Shadows of Evil there are also connections with the Mob of the Dead crew, and then you go to the Giant and there are more connections to the Mob of the Dead crew, and those connections just thread their way all the way through the Black Ops 3 Zombies storyline, to the extent that you get to a map like GK and suddenly we're hearing that the plane that those characters has been in has now crash landed and it's been going through time and space and they're not sure how they got there and where they are. It's all coming to a head now, it's all coming to a climax, and if it doesn't give us some information about that plot point, then I'm going to be deeply disappointed, but I think that it's guaranteed at this point. I think that they wouldn't build it up to this extent if they weren't going to give us some kind of payoff right at the end in Revelations. The Real Sco says, is it possible we'll see more than one specialist weapon? Throughout Black Ops 3 we've seen various specialist weapons. You go back to, for example, the Giant and you've got the Annihilator, you've got the swords on Shadows, you've got the gravity spikes on DE, etc. And I think that there is a fairly good chance that we will see more than one kind of specialist weapon in this map, just because of the fact that it's the final map. They are cramming everything together. We've already seen different maps bleeding into one map for Revelations, and so I think that there's a possibility that the different specialist weapons will also bleed through too, and we'll be able to sort of select which ones we want or something like that. It would really spice up the gameplay too, being able to switch up your specialist weapons, so Treyarch, please do that, that would be great. Fingers crossed we see more than one specialist weapon coming in, because we know the gravity spikes are 100% there because they're in the trailer, but the others, we'll see. This question is fantastic, okay? Paradise Christian says, what's Maxis's favourite food? Which I think is just brilliant, because we don't know what Maxis's favourite food is, but I can tell you, and I am being 100% serious here, that in some universes, Maxis, the Dr. Ludwig Maxis, is allergic to peanut butter. Now, why do I know this, okay? This sounds like some really goofy thing that I've just made up for the purpose of the video, but Jason Blundell actually sat down in an interview with me around the time Zetsubou no Shima was coming out. It was the launch stream, in fact, of Zetsubou no Shima. We're sitting down, and Jason literally says, yeah, Dr. Maxis is allergic to peanut butter. That's a thing. And I was like, wait, what? This is bizarre, and he said it outright. Maxis is indeed allergic to peanut butter in most universes. In some, when he's a drone, it's a little more difficult for that allergic reaction to actually be visible, I suppose, but he's still allergic, and that's a fact. Ben says, do you think there is any chance of Monty betraying the cast? Absolutely. Hell yes, I think there is. I think that the community is, right now, fixed on the idea that Monty is good. I did a poll a couple of weeks ago, and over 25,000 people voted in that poll, actually 30,000 people thinking about it, and the results was that around 50-ish% of people thought that Monty was good, around 15-ish% thought that he was neutral, and then the remaining percentage, 35%, thought that he was evil. I am definitely in the evil camp. I think that Monty has to have a nasty streak running through him, because it would just make so much sense. There has to be a twist coming with that character, and I think that there is a definite possibility, a probable one, that Monty is going to betray the cast at some point in Revelations, which is an extremely exciting prospect. Another pretty good question here, LFC Letters says, how would you feel about Jason saying in John's interview that we won't be able to solve a single cipher in Revelations? Man, oh man, oh man. It only makes me excited. That's all it does, okay? And I explained this in my dedicated video to the topic, but I will briefly go into why I'm excited by this, just so you can get a sort of window into my thought process right now. Jason Blundell sets up his ciphers so that if they're difficult, they'll have even juicier information in them, and if they're really easy, then they're less likely to have juicy stuff. If they're super easy, then they might contain stuff that's relevant to that particular map that they've been found in, or that sort of thing. But if they're really, really hard, then what Jason does is he makes them relevant to the future. So the giant ciphers, not the barcode, not the periodic table, the other ones on that map are much more difficult, and as such, he puts stuff in there that relates to Revelations. So we've had that information for the whole year, but we just haven't been able to solve it. However, with these ciphers in Revelations, he's saying we might never solve them. And so, in my mind, what that's actually saying is that the information in these ciphers is going to relate to the next Treyarch game. That is a legitimate, probable outcome of this. Jason is going to be putting information in Revelations that will directly relate to the new story that will be emerging in the next Treyarch game in 3 years' time. Holy hype, very exciting stuff. So that's how I feel. I feel excited. Obviously, it's a bit of a taunt from Jason, but it's a good one. I appreciate it. Galvanize the community and get us working towards whatever's next. The Zombinator says, how did Maxis get a body after Origins? Good question. This is actually a point of contention for a lot of the theorists in the community right now, because currently the story with Maxis is a little weird. He gets infected while working at Excavation Site 64 in northern France. That's So I just switched up the camera angle because there's currently 2 wasps, like, attacking my camera from behind, and so I don't want to be too close to them while I'm recording, but we're going to roll into the next question. The question of how he got a body, though, is a little ambiguous, just a little bit. It might be related to the fact that when you have a soul going into the house right now, for example, the 1.0 souls that we've collected throughout Black Ops 3, it seems like what happens is we kill them, we get the soul in the summoning key, the soul goes to the house, and then whatever soul goes to the house gives them a new body. It births them a new body of some kind, and in most of the characters' cases, that's a child's body. But with Maxis, it seems like because he didn't get a soul for Monty, and rather he only got a brain when he went up, Monty only got a brain because the Maxis drone only contained his brain, it didn't contain his soul or anything else. That meant that Maxis ended up only getting an old man's body rather than a child's body. That's one possible interpretation and explanation at least. It is an argued back and forth point right now, so don't take that to be completely 100%, but I think that it's a good working idea for now. Here's a question from Alex Dodds, who says, do you think the big black monster dudes are related to the dragons? They walk on their arms, kinda like them. So when I saw these things, I was like, are they sort of related to keepers? But thinking about it, they are much more close to dragons than keepers. For sure, in my opinion. Alex, this is very perceptive, good job. I think that there is definitely some relation to dragons here, but until we get a name for these things, until we get a race, a species, any more information like that, I think that it might be a bit early to be saying what exactly they are derived from, what their sort of lineage might be, but for now, I'd say that they definitely look like they're related to dragons, so certainly, Alex, I would agree with you there. Liam says, what do you think the massive thing at the end of the gameplay trailer is? I reckon that, I mean, we've had the Apothicon servant now. Is this the Apothicon master? Maybe. Pietro says, do you think we could be wielding the staves in Revelations? Seems like the Apothicon servant is the wonder weapon of the map. Certainly hope not. Well, it's interesting because I reckon that the Apothicon servant, especially because it was shown in the trailer in the way that it was, probably isn't going to be the wonder weapon of the map. Just in my opinion, I think that there is a high likelihood that there will be Origins staves and the original staves, the ancient staves, rather than the replicas that Maxis made, so that's one thing that I can foresee happening. I can also foresee the Apothicon servant obviously being playable because it's in the trailer, so it's gotta be, but then I can also imagine there being something else as well. I just feel like this is the final map, this is the climax of Black Ops 3, and if you look at Origins, they brought in loads of new guns there alongside the staves, and so there's a damn good chance that they might be squeezing some extra stuff in. I mean, maybe we'll see the Ray Gun Mark II come back, who knows? I reckon they'll be throwing in a load of new stuff though. Quick question here from Hedgehog, who says, was that the upgraded Apothicon servant or not in the gameplay trailer? Nope, that was the regular Apothicon servant, but it's very likely that this is at last going to be the map in which we can upgrade that thing, because Jason has said it's not upgradable in Shadows of Evil. But it's going to be upgradable in this map, no doubt. I think that is highly likely at this point. And finally, King AJ says, are you going to cry during the final cutscene? So, quick story time, okay? It's the 30th, I believe, of August 2013. My team and I have been awake pretty much solidly for 3 days working on the Origins Easter egg with the rest of the community. It's about 2 a.m., maybe 1 a.m. in the morning, and the other team that were pushing forth through the egg and looking like they were going to complete it die out, okay? We are still in game at this point, and we're like, bruh, we haven't slept, we are mentally, physically exhausted, we are just completely shreked right now, we are in shambles, but we've got to push forward. We've got to try and do this, okay? So, I hadn't seen the cutscene at the time, it was completely fresh, we were pushing forth through the Easter egg, nobody had completed it yet. We get to that final moment, we're trying to figure out the last step, okay? Nobody knows what you have to do when you go down into the mount, into the crazy place rather, sorry. And then, I pull out the Maxis drone, Maxis starts flying into the air, and I'm like, boys, it's happening! Something is happening right now! We end up completing the egg, that cutscene plays, I see it for the first time, and yeah, I might have shed a tear or two, just maybe. Yeah, it might be on YouTube. Maybe? But the thing I'm getting at here is that I was absolutely at my most vulnerable in that moment because I was so exhausted. And then, boom, the cutscene just hit me like an absolute ton of bricks and I was blown away. If Treyarch can do that again this year, then that's it. I'm completely just in awe of their ability to craft experiences and fun stories and everything in Zombies, because once was, yeah, okay, could have been a fluke, could have just been good luck, something like that. If they do it twice, if Revelations leaves me sitting here, wiping a tear out of my eye, then I'm done. Treyarch, they win. So, I think that's probably quite a good sentiment to wrap this up on. I've been MrRoflWaffles, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, then leave a like I've said. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any Zombies questions you want me to answer, let me know, drop a comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.